Wednesday, April the 5th. Lake levels come up quite a bit. It's up to about 912, which it's come up, 5 foot. It was on the rise when we did our fishing report last week. It kind of stabilized out yesterday. It seemed like they haven't been generating a whole lot of water, but we got a bunch of rain again last night. So I'd say it's going to start, coming back up. Water temperature, it's still hovering about the same. We just can't get any sunlight and get any warmth. Like today, I think the temperature is supposed to drop throughout the day, but the water temperature is ranging anywhere from 56 to I'm finding some 60-degree water. And with the lake coming up, all of the lake, the water seems really good. I've been up in the upper river arms. It's not muddy up there. A lot of the water that's moved through the lake, that where it was muddy in the upper rivers, is kind of straightened out. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that the water quality is fishable just about wherever you go on the lake. Now the bite seems to have, I think it's gotten a little tougher. A few weeks ago I kept talking about how the spawn was going to be early, and it got time for these fish to be spawning, which I am seeing a few, but that water temperature just won't climb up. The fish are just sitting back there waiting. A lot of the fish that were staging on the main lake, secondary points, a lot of them fish are moving back into creeks. And I think what they're doing is they're suspending just out in front of where they're going to spawn. A lot of the bite that we've been catching on the little swim baits and the grubs and a lot of that type of stuff, it seemed like it slowed down quite a bit to me, the numbers of fish. And I think that's going to pick back up again as more fish. There's still a bunch of fish out in the deeper water that haven't moved up yet. But the underspins that we had talked about, smoke with red flake grub, salt and pepper seems to be working any place there's some off-colored water. And a lot of the lake is getting some color to it. It's still crystal clear around Kimberling and down by the dam, but you get up above Baxter, above Ants Creek, and above 86 State Park, and where the river's been coming into some stained water. So that white seems to be working a little bit better. But what I'm finding, I'm getting more bites on you. I got to fish slow, but I'm getting a lot more of a bottom bite than I was. The moss is kind of a pain in some areas. Some banks have it, some don't. But what I've been catching, some fairly decent fish on here the last few days. And before I get into that, but the tournament weights this past weekend were way down. I think there was one Saturday it took right at 16 pounds to win. It was under a 5-pound fish. Was big fish, which is not very much for this time of year. And I think they had the Oakley Big Bass deal, over 500 people fishing for 2 days, and no one broke over 6 pounds. I think 598 was big fish. So, they just really haven't moved up. They're ready to, but I think we need some sunshine. And I had also mentioned last week about the spinnerbait. With all this off-colored water coming in, I thought that was going to become a big player. I am catching some fish on a spinnerbait, but it seems like it's mainly early, the first couple hours. And I've been throwing that in the backs of the pockets where I think the fish are going to spawn. For the most part, I've still been mixing it up quite a bit between a jerkbait, crankbait, jig, swim bait. I've got a lot of rods on the deck. Another thing they're biting is a nebry, but the moss can be an issue there as well. But this is a pig sticker. This is a Bobby Albert jig, and it's a 1/2 ounce. I've been throwing a 1/2 ounce swing head. And what I'm looking for the banks that got the steeper, a little bit steeper drop with ledge rock, bigger rock on it. Kind of similar to like if you run down a bluff and there's a bluff cut or a pocket. Some of them may go back in 1/4 mile. Some of them may just go back in a few hundred feet. But those are the areas that I'm looking for, little rock slides on some of these bluffs. Like I say, I'm not fishing the straight vertical bluffs. I'm fishing the little pockets and indentations. And I'm looking for the little bit steeper, chunkier rock. But the fish seem to be anywhere from about 3 or 4 feet down to about 10 to 12. Another bait that'll work is like a ½ ounce, finesse football jig. Any kind of green or brown seems to be working. And I also caught some fish yesterday on a beaver type bait, rigged up on a 1/4 ounce Texas rig. Now I'm just stepping it, working the bait down the rocks, just stepping it, and with the water coming up, we are getting a little bit more shoreline cover. We're a long ways from having water in the bushes, but where there was laydowns and different things that the fish, holding to. Like I say, the moss is an issue sometimes with the bottom bait, as it is with the crankbait as well. But I think if we ever get some sunshine, I know I said that last week, it's really going to turn on and get real good. Now, a lot of the fish I was catching on the gravel, on the main lake gravel points, on the swim baits and the underspins, those fish seem like they have moved into the flat gravel pockets where there's docks, and I'm catching some of them on a Ned rig. If the water's pretty clear, I'm throwing a green pumpkin. If it's got some stain to it, I'm throwing that Bama craw, which has got a little brown and orange in it. And just fishing it real slow out in front of the docks, between them. Still a lot of male bass. Still not catching very many quality fish. The keepers aren't the real big fat ones. A lot of them Kentuckys that we're catching out on the gravel that were, 2.5 pound fish, seem like they've moved, and I think they've gone in there to spawn. But I can't see them yet on the beds. And I think the cold weather, late in the afternoon, the bite seems like it gets pretty good, but then it gets cold again at night. So we need a little bit more warmer weather. I hope I was able to help you out a little bit, but it's just been a deal where you got to mix up a lot of different baits, and I've been having to cover a lot of water. Nothing's been real consistent for me. Wherever I get bit today, I may not get bit there tomorrow, and I may have to just change up lures completely. The most consistent thing is I have not had to fish much over 15, 18 foot deep. But you can also use this like a biffle hardhead. This is a pig sticker pig rig, and I've got a baby brush hog on it, but you can use like a Zoom trick worm, Magnum finesse worm, and fish this bait in the spawning areas anywhere from 8 to 15 foot deep, and you'll get some bites. You just got to be real patient. The bite has been really light. So until next week, good luck, good fishing.